how concentration camp is only an hour away from here. It's a very sad place, but definitely a place that is worth visiting in case you have time. Something that I want to be honest with you, you will require a lot of mental strength to visit that place. It's not that easy to do. Okay, guys? So, what happened a little bit after, it's something very bad. It was a very big persecution and campaign against what they call the opposition and minorities. With minorities, they talk about homosexual gypsies and also mentally disabled people. After some campaigns about mentally disabled people, they ended up killing over 200,000 mentally disabled people in all the territories they ended up occupying. The Night of the Broken Glass was so decisive for them to start openly persecuting the Jewish after they tried to segregate them. For example, when they occupied Warsaw in Poland and they had the Jewish ghettos, places where the Jewish were not allowed to walk in the sidewalks. They were not allowed to go in the parks. They were not allowed to sit on public benches. They had to wear the David Star here to tell everybody, and they had less rights than the rest of the people. Okay, that was the beginning of something very horrible that happened here. I'm gonna talk a little bit deeper into that in a moment. 1939, it's the year where two things happened. One, Hitler went in total through 50 different attempts against his life. Back in November of 1939, it was the closest one because some guy knew that he was going to give a speech for the 16th fallen Nazis of 1923. The same day, 9th of November, in a place called Donnersberger Brücke, in a very important pub. What this guy, Ebner Ellisser, does is to build a time bomb below the podium where he was going to talk. The bomb ended up missing Hitler for half an hour. He showed up 1 hour earlier, and the bomb ended up killing other SS members and other Nazis around. Okay? So, after that happens, the war was already a thing. They already invaded Poland. France, England, and Poland had an agreement of protection. That's why England started sending messages to the Nazis, persuading them to take their army out of the Polish territory, otherwise they were going to be in a war. And the war started back then. 1 year after 1940, what happened in this territory? Two of the biggest and strongest leaders get to meet each other. I'm talking about Hitler and Stalin. Stalin, leader of the Soviet Union. What happened in that meeting? They signed an agreement of non-attack each other for 10 years. Something that I'm telling you, it was a big advantage for Hitler. He had no idea how powerful was the Soviet Union back then. But 1 year after, Hitler decides to betray Stalin because Hitler still had all the intentions to take all Europe and exterminate all the Jewish from absolutely everywhere in Europe, and that was one of his main goals. Okay, so after he betrayed Stalin, 2 years after, he understood that it was a very big mistake to do that. It was so bad because Stalin, after the Battle of Stalingrad, ended up massacring the Nazis, and until today, it's known as the only country that could fight the Nazis alone. What happened in France? France was taken over in only 2 months, actually 46 days, not even 2 months. And to take back Normandy, how many countries did it take? US, Canada, France, and England. 4 countries to fight them back and take Normandy again. That is insane. Well, 1941 is also the year when the US is attacked, right? Pearl Harbor is attacked that year. And it's Japan betraying them. Even though President Roosevelt back in 1839, he says openly, the US has no intentions to be part of this war. Well, the truth is behind, the US was selling and was supplying armament to China and Southeast Asia. In those years, Japan started the war before, in 1937. Okay, Japan had plans of expansion for the next 50 years. What will happen? Their natural resources wouldn't allow them to go more than 10 years ahead of time. That's why they decided to take other countries. But then they said, and that was their logic, if the US keeps supplying China and Southeast Asia, I can't afford to go on a 5-year war. I need to take all of this in less than 1 year. And they had a great idea to attack the US. Okay, when they attacked the US, they thought that the US was going to come back later with a white flag and a document trying to have a peaceful negotiation. At the beginning, it worked very well for them because the next 6 months, the US stopped supplying China, stopped supplying Southeast Asia. And I can tell you, Japan ended up taking all Southeast Asia except for Thailand and India. Okay, but it was for a moment one of the most powerful empires of all the world. The US ended up getting together to the war, and he becomes part of the Allies as well as Stalin. But believe me, Stalin, even though helped so much to the Allies, and around 27 million Russians ended up dying in the war, Never think that Stalin was a great person, that was an angel. Stalin was a genocide. And he killed 24 million people of his own people before the war started. Okay, guys? So, what happened the next year is here, 1942, a very important year for Munich. Have you heard about the White Rose? It's a small resistance group. Have you heard about it? No? There were 5 students from the LMU University and the professor that used to make some flyers about against the Nazis. They made 6 different flyers, they print them, and they were putting them in mailboxes of students, trying to make all the students to raise, stand up and fight the Nazis. Something that I can tell you, it was very hard and complicated, because if they captured you, they just don't go after you. They go after your family and everybody you love. For example, imagine, and you know what happened in North Korea in the civil wars of 1947? Everybody that is, for example, if you are from North Korea and your grandfather participated in this rebellion, the opposition of the civil wars, that means you are destined to be born and raised and live forever in a labor camp between these 4 walls, and there's no life in that, okay? But nobody knows what would have happened. Thank God, I have to say the Nazis didn't win back then, okay? The thing is, it wasn't easy, and these guys fought very well and very brave, and the resistance lasted only for 9 months. These guys ended up being captured, and imagine a 22-year-old girl, Sophie Skoll, ended up being sentenced to die on the guillotine. Okay, again, crazy to think these things happened less than 100 years ago, right? 1943 is when this happened. In November of that year, this place is bombed by the English Air Forces for the first time. A few months later, in 1944, the place is completely destroyed. Parts of this church that you're gonna get to see later also were rebuilt, okay? But I'm telling you, because impressive for all the details they have inside, I have to say. Then, guys, 1945, 29th of April is the year when the American army is passing by the Hall concentration camp, and they released over 65,000 prisoners from there. The Soviet, the Red Army, passed through Auschwitz concentration camp only 2 weeks after Anne Frank died over there. Have you read the diary of Anne Frank? It's a very, very sad one, I have to say, and unfortunately she couldn't make it to tell us more about her stories. So guys, there's something about this. 135,000 prisoners from Auschwitz, 65,000 from here. I have to say something that even though the war ended a few months after, when the Soviets take Berlin, you know, and Hitler kills himself, the war is not over. And not everything is over, because there's something we need to understand. 2 months ago, I met a girl here, very interesting, from Israel. When I was talking about Oskar Schindler, you guys know who was Oskar Schindler? Have you heard about him? He was a Nazi that betrayed the Nazis to help the Jewish. Oskar Schindler ran to Argentina right after with his wife, escaping from here. He was persecuted by the Nazis. This girl, when I mentioned him, she took her phone and she showed me a photo with Oskar Schindler. And I was like, wow, how do you meet this guy? It was like I knew everything about him. He was very close to my family. Actually, he rescued my dad from Auschwitz. My dad was 17, or only 17. And there was a very interesting story that she was telling me, a very interesting talk. Because if it's true, have you read or seen The Pianist? Yes? It's a very hard movie to see. But there's something about Vladek Spielman. This guy, his country got invaded. He decided to stay there, because once the war is over, his country is free again. Same with people in France, same with people in Netherlands, same with people in Belgium. But just imagine if you were Jewish from Germany back then. Of course, everybody here understands this very clear. In those times, not all Germans were Nazis, and not all Nazis were German. That's so easy to understand for us, right? But try to explain that to someone that felt betrayed by the whole society. There's no home for them. There's no home for thousands of people. It was a long process for people to get documents and a new ID, a new identity, to go somewhere, to find refugee in the US, in Canada, in South America, and that is what happened, and something that took a very, very long time. Okay? So after that, it was an odyssey, a whole process. And just think about between 1942 and 94, over 4 million Jewish ended up dying here in all Europe, in different concentration and labor camps. Okay? So what happened, guys, after is like something I don't know if you're aware of, because a lot of Nazis ended up facing the trials of Nuremberg, where they got hanged, they were sentenced to death, but a lot of them got away with this. A lot of people could escape. Between these, I have 2 names of very important people that got away with that partially. One of them is Joseph Mengele. Have you heard about the Angel of Death? The guy, the heartless guy, conducting a lot of experiments in Auschwitz, right? With twins, with newborns, okay. About this guy, he escaped to Argentina. Okay, he didn't have the tattoos of the SS. That's why when he was captured, he was confused by just a regular member, because he wasn't even using his uniform of high rank. He was just using a soldier's uniform. he escaped to Argentina, but there's something about Argentina. A lot of Nazis escaped to Peru, Chile, and Argentina. Back in 1846, remember this name, Juan Domingo Perón was the president of Argentina. And this guy was openly supporter of Mussolini, a big fan of Mussolini, a supporter of the Nazis. So this guy gave political asylum to all the Nazis that could reach his territory. Joseph Mengele is one of them, hiding him under a fake name with other identity, of course. This guy got away with that, escaped also to Paraguay, lived in Brazil after. He died in Brazil back when he was 1972, sorry. He died while he was swimming and he had a stroke. After he died, well, 8 years later, the intelligence service of Germany found out that it was his body buried under a fake name. They did some studies and analysis and they were like, yes, this is Joseph Mengele. His body never claimed his body. His family changed their last name after, way before. That's why his body ended up being donated to the School of Medicine of Sao Paulo. Actually, my brother studied there too. So his body, the body of Joseph Mengele, it's resting there. Well, not resting, everybody's playing and learning with it, okay? Some other person, Adolf Eichmann. Have you heard about one of the architects of the final solution? Well, this guy got away with that for a little while. He escaped to Argentina. He was living under the name of Ricardo. I don't remember the last name. I think it was Montes. The thing is, like, there's a book called The Final Operation. There's a movie if you don't want to read it. The book is more interesting, I think. So, and this book is telling us, like, all these years, like, how this guy was hiding in Argentina and he had political asylum. He was protected by the government. But back in 1860, the intelligence service of Israel found him. And it was the 150-year anniversary of Argentina back in 1860. They got free on 1810. So Israel is planning to take him back to Israel, but they knew to extradite him would be impossible because Argentina is protecting him. They had to kidnap him. What do? They sent five of the best agents they have. And they are sent like diplomats from Israel to congratulate Argentina for their anniversary. They're tracking, they're putting their foot, and they're behind this guy all the time. They kidnap Adolf Eichmann and they take him back to a home where they put drugs on him and they pass the controls to go to the airport by pretending he was too drunk because he was celebrating for the anniversary of Argentina. That's how they took him to Israel. In Tel Aviv, he faced the court for 2 years and then he was sentenced to death. Even though his death wasn't going to bring the life of the million of people that died, it was a sense of justice for a lot of people that survived in the concentration camps, and they really needed that because all the trails were taken in Germany and in Europe. It was the first trail and the only one taken outside in Jewish territory in Israel. Okay, guys, any questions so far? I told you I was going to talk a little bit too much here because it is very important. There's a couple of things more I want to show you. Please follow me to the other side.